Hey guys, and welcome back to Trekyards Reviews. I'm Captain Foley.
And I'm Connor Coggins, and it's Discovery again. It's every week, every time, lots of reviewing. Stuart, what's the episode called? Because I don't know what it means.
Well, this is episode 6, and it's called Lethe, L-E-T-H-E. When I look that up, I get classical Greek. The word literally means oblivion, forgetfulness, or concealment. Things that make you go, That's right.
Summary. So yeah, Stuart, what did you think of this episode? We're sort of going through them now. We're almost halfway. Everything should be established at this point, you would think. What do you think of this episode overall as a brief sort of review?
I loved it. I thought this was a fantastic episode. I think that Discovery is starting to get its Star Trek legs in gear. It felt more Star Trek-like to me this episode. Just the focusing on character development and things, so we actually get to learn more about the actual crew. Pretty much all of them have a little bit of growing in this, or we find out more about them. So overall, I thought it was a fantastic episode, and I was really, really impressed.
Cool. Yeah, I will concur with a bit of that, saying how this is the first one that I think feels like it's now established its own universe, and it can now use its own plot points. We're not adding something new. We're not throwing in new characters. Like, this is now, everything's there to be played with, in a good way. And it's not, and also we've accepted the canon wrong problem look thing. So we've accepted it, so we can move on at this point. So it did feel more cohesive this episode, I think. But in terms of story, I left feeling kind of It was fine. It wasn't bad by any means, but it was very average. Because I guess nothing. I mean, the A plot didn't grab me and the B plot didn't grab me, so I mean, it was fine, which is good. I mean, there's no big plot hole per se, and there's no big bad problems. But we'll get into some of the small things. But yeah, it was fine.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed
more
it
than you, apparently.
Yeah, like I say, it wasn't bad. Vulcan, we see Vulcan, and we knew Sarek would be a big player in this episode, which is great to see him back again. What do you think of this introduction scene? He's on a mission. He's leaving Vulcan on this new ship. And he potters off. What do you think?
Well, I was really impressed. I was really blown away by Vulcan. I think it looks very cool. I love seeing that skyline.
More painting like than ever before. It's ironic since it was first painting in TNP.
Yeah. So I really, really love seeing the Vulcan landscape, or cityscape, I guess.
Yeah.
Even the shuttle was very interesting design. I can see reminiscence of the warp ring there, which is cool.
Yeah, obviously we can't talk too much about it, but
No.
It's got some good things, some bad things, but at least there is a ring. I will say that the green screening, I mean, obviously this is all digital, but those two close-ups that we've got in the notes here of the two people, I love those green screen shots. They're beautiful. Really, really nicely done. I mean, they're obviously green screen, but they're very artistic, and they're not lens flary. They're not pushing it to that sort of JJ what he would do, but they still have that sort of cinematic feel a bit, Yeah, so I thought it was well done.
Yeah, the displays in the interior are very nice. Very well done. So the next thing, of course, we see the Discovery, and nice zoom in on this. This is really cool to see that it's actually glass on the top of those joining pieces, and or transparent aluminum, not glass. But anyway,
glass-like substance.
Yeah, and we see Michael and Tilly jogging around the corridors. And one thing I gotta say right off, could they not afford to write Discovery across the shirt? I hate disco. I hate that it says disco. What does the Enterprise one say? Ente?
And what do you think of this scene? So they're trying to jog and get her personal best, because she, as an ensign, the very start of her career, she's entire
a cadet.
focus.
She's not even an ensign yet. She's still a cadet.
Yeah, and her entire focus is becoming a captain. What do you think about this whole? I mean, they're clearly friends at this point, and they're clearly trying to. I mean, it's nice that she's trying to work with her and help her. I mean, there's nothing Burnham's getting out of this except exercise.
Oh, I like it. The camaraderie. Again, we're getting some character development, which is nice. Good to see more of Tilly saying she has a personality, which is, she's not so awkward here, which is nice.
She's the personality of the entire show.
Yes. But no, I thought it was fine. You got to shave 6.5 seconds off. You'll get a commendation for whatever. So I mean, yeah, very military. Get all the commendations and things you can, help you get to that captaincy faster. And of course, it's good for a cadet for her end game to be captain. I mean, that's setting the bar. You know where you're going, which is good. So,
and obviously we get the Enterprise reference, the Constitution class, and the Enterprise, implying that's even
they exist.
Yeah, certainly, but also implying that's more prestigious than this assignment. Otherwise, you wouldn't say it. So that's good.
Yeah, you get put on a Constitution class ship like the Enterprise, and it's like, yeah, that's implying that, that's where you want to be. You don't want to be down here on this science ship.
Despite it being as the Admiral says later,
most advanced ship.
But they just mean propulsion, because bollocks, it's not the most advanced everything else. No, well, I mean, apart from the obvious canon problems, but apart from that stuff, it's not. Because the Enterprise, please. What's the next scene, Stuart?
Well, the next scene is Lorca and Tyler taking out some Klingons. This I really enjoyed, and I'm thinking, is this a holodeck? It better not be a holodeck. They have a little discussion about where he's from, and Lorca's kind of grilling him because he's done his research, which is cool. But when the simulation ends, I'm thinking, okay, this isn't really a holodeck. To me, I think this is more of a target range, shooting range in an armory. So not a holodeck. It's not. It's the same kind of principle, but it's definitely not a holodeck.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's a. I mean, the problem is if they have hologrammatical communication across a galaxy, of course you can have holodecks. And you push the bar so high, it'd be ridiculous not to have holodecks. But I think this is more a enhanced VR room with that middle bit they're in is just a pad that moves.
Because it looked very odd when it ended and it zoomed in on them and they're both standing.
Yeah.
It was very video game-ish.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. We've got VR now.
Yeah.
It's just a simple perspective. They probably have to stay together as well. Like, there is no, you can walk over there, you can walk over here, and we can deal with, real AI. We've got people we can shoot at. That's it. It's target range. It's the natural evolution of the Mako's target range. But yeah, certainly a bit of a, I wish they'd advanced it a bit more. Rather than be completely flawless. Because seriously, it devalues Gene's want for it to be advanced in TNG.
Oh, yeah.
But that's a full episode this week.
Yeah, and just one thing I want to mention, too, about this backstory for Tyler. Never knew his dad, or says he didn't know his dad, and his mom died on one of the moons of Grazer when it got hit by a asteroid.
While on her first vacation after 12 years.
Yeah. And Lorca calls him out that you're not really from... Oh, I forget where it was now. I didn't even write it down. Anyway, you live on the outskirts, so you wouldn't necessarily say you're from there. But that's not true, because I grew up in Tavistock, and I say I'm from Stratford because nobody knows where Tavistock is. Tavistock's 15 minutes away from Stratford, so I just say Stratford.
And also he said 0.4 kilometers. That you could walk that.
Yes,
that's pretty
easily.
That's pretty close. I mean, that's more nitpick than we are doing for any of the shows. It's like, if you can bicycle ride there, hover bike there, it's fine, it's easy.
And then we get the kills. The captain had 24, and Tyler says, "Oh, I got 22." And then the captain checks his thing, and it says 36. And just out of respect for my captain, he's like, "No, don't be ashamed of excellence." Well, there you go.
I didn't even see.
I guess stock to the face is a lot more effective. Just saying.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously you see him at the end. It's pretty awfully choreographed because the enemies are literally just walking straight at them, and they're standing in the corridor shooting. And Ty has both guns out. He's just shooting blandly at. I mean, it's video gaming. I think that's on purpose to look that rubbish because it's like it's not clever. It's not a clever holodeck. But how do you kill 36 with a rifle if you didn't? And I'm guessing these are holodeck versions because it'd be really kind of rude to say on your rifle, you're the Federation. Yeah, it says how many kills you got. It's like just you got 36 kills. Well done. It's like
achievement unlocked.
Rifle, don't congratulate me. They're all innocent civilians. So
yeah, you now get a variant for the Klingon uniforms. You can have them wearing Bozo the clown outfits now.
Hey, it's a holodeck. Just tell them to be, Although again, the fact that these Klingons were the wrong Discovery era Klingons, it implies that they're the default ones, given that the computer wouldn't pick specific ones unless they specifically said pick ones that we've never. You know what I mean? If you've never seen Klingons, almost rarely, and you're picking these ones, these are probably the default ones. That just through its omission. It's probably those are now the default ones. Blah blah blah. Retconning. Blah blah. Same old, same old.
And then, of course, Lorca basically promotes him and makes him chief of security on Discovery, just like that. Apparently, Lorca trusts him, or he's keeping his enemies close. You know, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. Maybe he's on to him.
Well, it's interesting how we don't get a time modifier here. How long has it been? Every other episode we've got a distinct. It's been this long, this long, this long. Like we learn later on, Lorca's had psychovals and stuff.
They do say it. I think it was a week. Because later the Admiral says, a week ago you were being tortured, now you're back in the captain's chair.
But I get, okay. It's a lot of trust to gain in a week, but I think you're right. I mean, if Lorca is this smart, he's either this gullible that he's looking for a kindred spirit, or this smart to know this is not right. But even Chief of Security, though, he has a lot of abilities to do wrong things on the ship. I mean, Chief of Security is given a lot of privileges, can do a lot of mayhem. It's a really risky move.
Yeah.
But I do wish, though, we didn't think he was a spy, because the chemistry is pretty good between them. And they yeah.
Well, we hope he's not. I hope he's not a spy, but we'll see. I'm just looking for those little subtle hints that I think they're definitely dropping, which aren't so subtle, some of them. The next scene is the logic extremist. Doesn't like the fact that Sarek is trying to broker deals with other races, basically, and injects some kind of explosive into his system. I found that odd.
A little bit. Yeah, I've written down his lines as to talk about him a little more precisely. But yeah, we have another suicide bomber. We had
Vulcan.
We had Klingon terror attacks. So we had Federation wanting to use a suicide bomb work bee. Now we have Vulcan suicide bombs. Guys, please stop making everyone terrorists, and please stop making everyone Islamic, please, and stop parallel. Star Trek doesn't need. I mean, I know, a race that's billions of people. You're able to have a few. Obviously, we saw the Vulcan clash in Enterprise, but it's just very far. I mean, the point of we only saw the suicide bombers once in Enterprise with that other race that were using those chemicals to blow themselves up. That was a huge deal. That was a huge episode. That they were saying don't ever do this. But yeah, this mission does not reflect true Vulcan ideology. True. Your fascination with humans can no longer be tolerated. Your obsession has blinded you from the truth. Humans are inferior. And my sacrifice will be a rallying cry to all those who value logic above all. And last of all, Vulcan will soon realise and withdraw from the failed experiment that is the Federation. Really?
Well, I think this is a very small cluster of Vulcans, because logic extremists, as they were called. So, anyway, this scene was very confusing for me.
It's sad to make a race 3D. You've got to make him the darkest. You got to show the darkest aspects.
Well, it's carrying on that asshole Vulcan nature from Enterprise, where the Vulcans were all just dicks.
But the thing is, no one liked that.
Mellowed out.
But no one liked that. That was a plot point that, while maybe interesting to watch, we didn't want that as a plot point.
I know, but it's just showing. I think that's carried over somewhat to into this era, but it's very minimal, I would imagine. So.
And you would have thought he'd just shoot him. I mean, why blow up the ship? Just you're alone with him. Shoot him. Hey, he's dead now. I can live. I mean. And also, obviously, since we know they weren't doing transponder, if the ship blew up, which it did, and they weren't sending a signal, how did the Vulcan High Command know he was missing? I know he didn't get to the rendezvous, but where would they know he was? How then? You know what I mean? How would they?
Sarek hit a button right before it happened, so he could have transmitted like a quick distress, which they picked up, and that's why they knew which nebula it was in and things. So, and next scene's a little bit brighter and funnier. She's ordering food, and Burnham keeps making sure it's nutritional, and I thought it was so cute. And I want salsa. Computer, give me salsa. Roasted red pepper salsa. Cooked tomatoes are actually very high in whatever. It's like, thank you.
And 20 green juice, extra green.
Extra green.
So green is always a universal thing. Yeah, no, this shows you how, and same with the running around scene. This is why you can get really incredible moments in bottle shows. Use your sets, use your actors, give them good characterful lines. It doesn't need to be dark as anything, and you grow to like these people more. I like Burnham more now. I've liked her, like those two scenes. I think I liked her more than almost any scene put together, because she was stern but relatable and friendly in her own way. But you got to her because she was a Vulcan. Like those two scenes are better character development for her in a sense, just by being a person.
Better character development, but I still don't like her at all. I see no redeeming qualities in Burnham so far, but that's just me. Another thing that's interesting here is the fact they're talking about they're gossiping as people do on small ships, talking about the new guy and how the fact he took out six Klingons makes him way hot, and Burnham's like, I fought Klingons. I highly doubt he fought off 6. Another little nod there.
When did she fight Klingons? She fought a torchbearer once and didn't do any fighting.
That's what she said. I'm just quoting what she said.
I know, but she's so exaggerating that, because she has
maybe on the Holo armory.
Then everyone's fought Klingons. Hollery, yeah. Yep. Yeah, that was fun. That was a good little subtle thing. And they took out 6 Klingon warriors in hand-to-hand combat when they escaped the bird of prey.
Yep.
So they got kidnapped by D7, non-D7, taken to a bird of prey prison variant, and we see the bird of prey scale in the later in the episode. It's very small, so I'm thinking those 2 corals the only thing in that thing. They're just throwing words around, aren't they? They don't. They'll say Vorchar next. Be like, no, don't say the Vorchar, no.
No, I don't think they'll do that. Everything will be a bird of prey. But yeah. So anyway, they go up and they start talking to Tyler. And interestingly, I just wanted to point out how much food is on Tyler's plate. Like, he's got like two burgers, ton of fries, looks like some kind of garlic bread thing. I don't know. There's a lot of food on his plate. He must be either super hungry still from being a captive, or he's just got a monster appetite. Just saying. At least none of it was moving.
Well, he had just been through a training drill day with the captain. He'll put him through his paces. Yeah,
true. That is true.
But again, Tilly's always a good character in this. And it's fun how she mentioned previously that Burnham is surprised that the captain wants to adopt this new guy, and he's so willing to have him part of the crew. And Tilly says, "We adopted you because, obviously, from her point of view, she was herself. She got given a second chance. But from everyone's point of view, it's like, you were the worst person in the Federation. He gave you a chance." This other guy, he's way makes more sense. That was kind of a cute little moment.
Absolutely, yeah. And then she shakes his hand, and I thought, well, since Vulcans have some kind of training as far as, they don't like shaking hands because of their telekinetic abilities. I know she's human, but the fact she shook his hand and I thought she sensed something about him, but no, she had sensed that Sarek was in trouble and collapses on the floor. Which actually, this makes a lot more sense after they explain it in a little bit.
Yep.
Do you want to talk about that now or when we get there?
Yes, talk about. Oh yeah, let's just set the scene first. We see this grand vista of Vulcan, very similar to some of the stuff we see in J.J. Abrams films, but that's fine. It works just fine.
On the way to the vista, though, it looks like she's been sniffing too many mycelium spores, if you know what I'm saying. Anyway, yes. Then we get the Vulcan vista. Continue.
And if you look at the greater context of this scene, it's actually all the Vulcan recruits. They've just graduated from the Science Academy, because lots of younger people in the same similar robes are then trying to get assignments and such, which I thought was interesting. And there is a Vulcan harp in one of the scenes, so good, very split second. So good job, guys, for putting that in. Yeah. So yeah, it's all a delusion in a sense, sort of. It's in her mind, and it's a very important moment, and we get treated to this scene again and again throughout the episode in slightly different ways. And yeah, so they are telecommunicating, psychic communicating. And how is this explained? It's a very vivid, very interesting sort of scene. And what's the explanation?
Of the whole scene, or just how she can communicate with him? Like
of how, because they do give us an actual explanation.
Yes, and this goes back to one of our gripes about one of the first episodes, actually episode 3, with this link she has with Sarek. It really didn't make sense, this cosmic link across great distances. But when he found her, and he used part of his katra to actually heal her. So basically, they're connected on the spiritual level. I guess their souls. I guess the katra. So they are part of his katra is in her. So yes, they'd be able to communicate maybe great distances, and I think that's the explanation they give here. The fact that she's got part of his katra in her, and that was used to heal her when she was when she was dying. So it makes more sense.
Yeah, but it's interesting they double down on that scene, because based on how they shot the scenes in the I think the second episode actually, where she's getting flashbacks, it's you assume it's when the Klingons attack her parents' colony. It's actually not. She has her parents they destroy the colony. She gets adopted, but then after that, the Vulcan terrorists attack to kill her. Specifically, it's a targeted attack. You can imagine the guilt of that, and then Sarek finds her almost dead, does the Katra thing, and that, I guess, links them. I mean, come on, in the greater sense that if you can transfer an entire body into bone, or entire mind into Bone's head, and you can have it for a few days, and then ritual it through a person to another person as a reincarnated body from a dead planet that's been rejuvenated through science. I mean, the Katra is nonsense and far-fetched, and what was the original guy from Enterprise that survived Katra jumping through thousands of years? I mean, it is a magical thing, but it's nice to get a real explanation, It's like, what are the limits? I mean, who knows? I'm sure, and it would have been nice to know some repercussions that Sarek got. Maybe he lost maybe some of his humanity, some of his emotions went to her or something, so why is even more annoying to Spock and such. Maybe it affected him in another way. It would have been kind of cool. Or maybe that caused his degenerative virus that killed him in TNG era. That would be a nice payoff. Wouldn't it be cool to hear that? It's like, well, Sarek, the risk is a 1 in 10 chance of gaining this disease. Well, I thought it was worth it at the time. That would have been really sad, actually.
Basically what's happening is this is the thought that he's having right before as he's dying, and then he realizes that she's there, and he basically kicks her out, like he
force punches.
Yeah. Yes.
He ghost punches ghost her out of his ghost head across the galaxy.
Yes.
We also introduced Amanda Grayson, though. What did you think of her character role in it? I mean, she's there.
Yeah, I'm glad we got to meet her. She seems fine. I think it was a great casting choice.
I recognise her, but I can't place her. For things. I know her, but I don't know what from.
And the advice she's giving her is very similar to the thing she's told Spock, that your human side's not a bad thing. You need to embrace that. And
which is probably what the one human on Vulcan would say, like the one human parent. It's like, I'm probably going to give you that advice. She's not that converted. Although at this early stage in the episode, I was kind of like, it's a bit insulting to the character of Sarek and to Spock for his last thought before he dies to think of Burnham, a character we never heard about ever. Luckily, they sort of address it later on. You can understand that more. But it's like, you should be thinking about Spock or Amanda or his second wife, or I guess she's in the future. Like, you don't make a character and force them into the world. Absolutely. Yeah. To make someone that important that has no other place in the entire history of the franchise, and then force another character to be so in love with them. It's like having Kirk have another wife that another kid with. It's like, oh,
Antonia.
Sure. You know what I mean? They're really, and I want to go into this later, they're really hammering down again how amazing Burnham is, but she really isn't.
Well, yeah, and again, they explain a little bit more than this in another scene like this, and it actually explains something very major in Star Trek canon that explain it in more detail.
Excited to get to then.
So much more sense, but yeah. So then she's in sick bay, and she kind of explains about the Katra thing, so that's fine. Next scene, we've got the Admiral, the Vulcan Admiral, talking to Lorca, and interestingly enough, there's now no tribble on Lorca's desk, which could be handy in some cases for some things.
Yeah, it disappeared when Saru took command, but he never put it back, I guess.
He ate it. He's like Bortus. He can eat anything.
What's interesting about this, though, is that first of all, we'll probably talk about this at some point, but a lot of people are complaining that Spock was the first Vulcan in Starfleet, and yet we have a Vulcan Admiral.
Yeah. Well, That was an error in canon and TOS, because then there's the crew of the Intrepid, which were all Vulcans.
Yeah.
So you can't tell me they all started the Academy after Spock did.
Yeah.
And then you get to Paul, who's not really in Starfleet, but serving aboard a Starfleet ship. It just, that's one of those canon mistakes that is just dumb.
But it is a bit weird to see the obviously Vulcan Starfleet Admiral, and that's a hell of a rank to have. It takes a lot of years. So that person was, wanted to join Starfleet Academy at a certain age, a long time ago when it was probably relatively new, the Federation, and then we're seeing the parallels in the Vulcan society. It's interesting, is he now an outcast? Do the Vulcans now hate him because he's in Starfleet? Because you never get a sense that they approve of people in Starfleet until really later on.
I think it could be, too, based on the founding of the Federation, a lot of Vulcan captains could have transferred over to Starfleet ships to kind of give some of their expertise to the Starfleet crew, and then got honorary Starfleet rank of captain, and then the next step up to admiral. Yeah. So he could have been trained in the Vulcan, because the Vulcans live forever pretty much. So he could have been trained on Vulcan, became a captain, and then got an honorary captain's rank in Starfleet, and then got promoted. That makes sense. So
yeah, I did. Feels really strange though how they were saying don't wait to save Sarek. The dialogue in this scene was so felt to me that they were saying no, Sarek. We'll let Sarek deal with himself. We'll do the paperwork. You hold out. If he dies, he dies. But we have to wait for authorization. Is he one of the extremists that wants Sarek dead? Because Lorca can get to him straight away, obviously, and the fact that we see the Admiral get to them straight away means there is a ship in range straight away. Why is there such a disconnect to save him, to the point where it's saying, we'll go save him, no you won't, hang up.
I love how Lorca hangs up on him. No, I didn't think that. I thought it was just the political, bureaucratical paperwork and red tape, and the fact that they've told Discovery to hold back on the spore drive jumping. So they're maintaining their rules that they set in place. I didn't even once think that he'd be part of the extremists that wanted to kill Sarek.
But just we have some side agenda, because it seemed a bit, a little bit forceful of don't go save him. I know you got a ship in the area, but it's a little bit strange. And what do you think about that Sarek was going to go meet two independent colonial houses in an attempt to end the war?
Makes sense for a diplomat. You've been at war for 7 months now. It's kind of that you want to put out an olive branch. You want to try to end the war as soon as possible. So why not if you get the opportunity? I don't have a problem with that. Did
you think it was a genuine olive branch, or what might have ended up happening in the end?
No, I thought we find out what happens and what was going to happen. The fact that they wanted a hostage.
But did you hope it would be genuine?
I had no inkling that it would be at all, no.
Okay. Just asking.
I saw it coming a mile away. It's written on the wall. The next scene is on the Discovery Bridge, and I got to say, I really dig the captain's chair. The shape of it from the side. I love the pop-up panels that he's got. So that was great.
So they've now jumped to the Nebula, and Burnham basically says, I need to be on to find him because we can't find him in time. There's no way our sensors can do it. We have to use the psychic link and find him that way. Yeah, but it's risky.
Yeah, and so Sarek vision, as they call it. Now Stamets here seems very mellowed out, and Lorca even makes a point to say, traveling the whatever interstellar has kind of changed you. It's like, well, once you get over the being pricked with needles, it's actually pretty cool. But he seems like a different character altogether. Like and that goes back to the last episode with the mirror thing. Did he get did something happen to him during that made I get the overall arc I'm getting from this is that we are in the mirror universe this whole time, and we're going to be crossing over to the real our prime timeline eventually. And I think maybe that infused in him. That's a big overarching story.
He does seem friendlier.
Yes, much.
That was the big takeaway.
Yeah.
Although I felt the scienciness in this, building a synthetic mind meld augment. That's groovy. That's one of those like techno. We could do it. We're geniuses. Yeah. Hadn't you heard of mind meld science psychic link till yesterday? Let's put a synthetic one. Okay.
And interestingly enough, Stamets says it's like giving him a psychic hit of speed. So referring to an illegal drug. Whereas Berman's like, I was thinking adrenaline, but sure.
He does feel high. Like that.
Wow.
That's sort of the tone he was playing it a little bit.
The fact that they reference speed, I mean, why not just mention meth while you're at it? Like,
hardcore amphetamines, guys. Let's use that. Yeah. Well, I don't know about you, but I thought this scene was going to play out a little bit differently, where they were going to say, because obviously he's the chief engineer of the spore drive. You know, that's his expertise, speciality. I was assuming they would they'd plug Burnham into the spore drive, use that to jump next to the shuttle, using the psychic link. I was expecting that, because that would be a leap in technology that we can understand. You know, use the network and your psychic link rather than building new technology to find psychic. You know what I mean? I thought that would make more sense inventing new technology.
Yeah. Didn't really consider that, but yeah.
Yeah.
And I love how he's like, well, she wants to take Tilly because Tilly's smart, and the captain seemed kind of shocked by that. Okay, well, you can have her, and you're gonna need a good pilot. Luckily, I know a guy. Yes. I thought that was awesome. So,
and then we see said pilot in said shuttle. And what do you think of this next little conversation beat? Bring it back in one piece. Oh no, I mean Burnham.
Shows that he cares. I don't know.
See, my brain straight away went to he's playing this grand game of chess, because what person might the Klingons want more than anyone else? Burnham, the one that killed the Torchbearer. If you keep her on board, you might be use her as a bargaining chip, right? I mean, obviously he's willing to sacrifice the entire crew. She is nobody in the grand scheme if the war can be solved, and why not have her close as an emergency pawn? You know, he wouldn't necessarily want to, but is she worth the war? No, of course she isn't, in his eyes. So I thought that was a really interesting, like, no, we need her, she's our ace in the hole. Yeah. Like, we might need you, because you're our spy in the hole.
Yeah. Interesting. I did make a note, and then I scratched it out. I said they need to staff up their shuttles a bit more, because every time they have one pilot it turns out bad. But I can see why they want to minimize the risk on this one. But when the shuttle took off, really nice homage to TOS. You got the third landing gear at the back of the shuttle, and that went up and it took off. It was really nice. So
yeah.
And the next scene is Admiral Cornwall comes on. Well, actually, I'll take it in my ready room. Can't do that, sir. Why can't you? Her cruiser dropped out of warp, and she's requesting permission to land.
Yes.
Does she want to land her whole cruiser? I mean, that was just really poorly done. She didn't say she wanted to shuttle over, or why isn't she beaming over?
It's very clunky dialogue.
Yeah, it's
she requests permission to beam over. Yes. Or dock a shuttle, or dock a travel pod, or dock ships if you want. It was very...
Or land a shuttle. It just sounds like he wants to land a cruiser. And which ship is she on? Is she on a Constitution class because she's an admiral? I want to see it.
Heavy cruiser. This is just... I was excited. I was like, ooh, external shot please. What is a cruiser of this time? We know what heavy cruiser is. What is a... But no. But it would be nice to see what is her flagship. Or at least the ship she travels in. But that's okay. But yeah, but this again proves that space... You know, she's right there. You know, she was right there. She was only a few hours away at warp. So presumably she'd be the one to do the rescue mission anyway. Yeah. But it doesn't really seem very... I mean, does she even mention Sarek once?
I don't think so.
Because I think she's just on about Lorca, so she's not even there to rescue him.
Yeah.
Oh. No one cares about him except Burnham. It's really sad.
Yeah. And here we get an interesting little tidbit for that they had a relationship before. You know, let's not talk as colleagues. Let's talk as friends. He pulls out the booze. And this is the scene, I think, where he actually says... rules are for admirals in back rooms. We're captains out here on the frontier. I love that, because that's Kirk's thinking. You know, we have to make these last minute decisions in the here and now. We can't afford to wait 3 weeks or 3 seconds in this case to get approval from a Starfleet admiral. And it's true. The admirals are very much, they do have to follow the rules. And I love how he said in the back rooms, you know. So,
I mean, it shows you his character as a case of, if I see this has to be done, I'm just doing it. I can just go there and do it because I got the spore drive. Ha 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 ha.
I got the most advanced ship in the fleet, as she calls it.
I mean, it's newer than Connie, so it is in that respect. But in the spore drive, not everything else. Because please don't make it the best ship ever. Please. Stop ruining the Connie, guys. So yeah, we see this cool nebula, very psychedelic effects, and the pilot is piloting. We get this character scene between the two of them. This weird, cool device.
Well, it's the pressure points where they do the Vulcan mind meld.
Oh, I did not pick up on that.
Yep.
Nice. Okay. Cool. I dig it. Nice attention to detail.
And then we go back to that scene in his head playing out. And this opens up a whole great conversation about why he was so disappointed in Spock in Journey to Babel, because Spock chose Starfleet. Because he had to make a choice here whether he wanted Burnham or Spock for the Vulcan Expeditionary Force. He chose Spock, thought it was the most logical course of action, and then basically that decision pittered out because Spock basically spat in his face and went to Starfleet instead. So he had already squandered his choice. He couldn't even suggest Burnham again. I don't know. Mm-hmm. It makes the uneasiness between him and Spock a lot more relatable. I'm glad they did that. Because why was he so annoyed that Spock joined Starfleet? It always kind of bothered me. Mm-hmm. But this makes a lot more sense now.
Well, double whammy. Burnham's older.
Yeah.
She's already been in the Science Academy, graduated. He's not even joined the Science Academy yet. We don't know how many years that course is. She's already graduation. He's still at home doing whatever else, and he's picked her path or refused her path. Give it a couple of years, his real son, as it were. Although theoretically, if she's older, they didn't have Spock yet. Don't know how the aging process would work with Vulcans to humans in the early stages. If whatever. But if she can go to the academy first, she must be older, or the age of the academy is. You know what I mean? It's a weird timeline. I don't know if that really correlates with her being older, because we assumed he was out of the house. We assumed he was already on the Enterprise. We assumed he was already doing his mission, but not. Okay. But yeah, if he ruined, if he picked his favorite child first.
He didn't pick his favorite child. He picked the most logical child because he at least appeared Vulcan and was half Vulcan. And
favorite to have the Vulcan. I mean, he wants to be Vulcan. He wants his children to be Vulcan, half human and half human. That's his favorite to succeed, I should say. He picked his favorite to succeed, letting the other one have her chance, and then the other one.
I wouldn't use the word favorite. Based on the situation he was in, I would say it was the most logical choice. Spock is the most logical one to choose because of his half-human ancestry.
Well, the thing is, I mean, they mentioned very early on that, and this surprised me, that she was specifically quoted as being the number one in the class and better than every Vulcan in that class. So is Burnham not then smarter than Spock? Was he number one of his entire Science Academy class? Was he better than all the Vulcans of the time? Maybe she was a more logical choice if she had better grades. We didn't know how good he was at the time, but she might have had better grades than him.
Yeah, I think Sarek was looking at it from the point that no matter what, she was going to be always looked down upon because she's completely human. It was a visual kind of, she was going to be singled out every time because she's visibly human. At least Spock is half Vulcan. He has more of a chance of not being nitpicked as much in the expeditionary force. So that I think it was just the most logical thing at the time.
It's interesting. But it does show though that Sarek obviously doesn't look down upon Starfleet, which you kind of got the assumption he did from Journey to Babel. Doesn't look down on Starfleet, obviously, otherwise he wouldn't send his adopted daughter. Exactly. It's just this, and obviously if this adopted daughter also had this whole started a war thing, and that's before Journey to Babel by a long way. I mean, there's all these things his children have done very well. I mean, they have done well, and they've diverged from his path. Mm-hmm. So you can see how his lack of liking them at the end has been
it makes Journey to Babel so much better and makes it make perfect sense. I love the fact they did it.
I just wish this had been pulled out of one line of dialogue from one of TOS episodes saying, if only you'd turn out like the other one.
Yeah, well.
And then just taking a small little thread rather than inserting someone who should have been mentioned at some point in some way, sometime. But hey.
And And then we get a look at some Vulcan martial arts, which I consider interesting because, yes, monks and things, that kind of like what the Vulcans are based on, do martial arts. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, Leonard Nimoy didn't want to hit somebody with the butt of a phaser, with the handle of a phaser. And TOS, he didn't think the Vulcans would be a kind of punch him up kind of race. So he came up with the Vulcan neck pinch. So the whole fact they have a whole martial art, which apparently Spock never learned because we never see him use it once, is interesting. Either that or he's just against the martial art and doesn't agree with that philosophy. So,
well, yeah, I certainly. But then Nimoy had a bit of power on that show by the end, to influence the character. But if you look at Enterprise, they were fighting each other and humans, and Archer could still beat up a twice as strong Vulcan with a single.
The double axe handle, the back neck, it's very good.
It is. Oh no, yep. Yep. But you know what I mean? I think he is certainly an older Vulcan. He would be more in the line of the Enterprise era Vulcan. I mean, he would be around then, maybe. Yeah. So you can imagine Spock being a couple of generations removed from that. Less violence.
And this one picture you have of Burnham fighting Sarek, where he's bent over and she's got her hand on him. That martial art, the way they were doing that, there were so many opportunities to get a Vulcan neck pinch in there just to end it. I think it's cool that it's tied in with martial arts and the whole neck pinch thing. You can do that. And
to be fair, later on, she is Vulcan neck pinching him into submission in his dream. She wins. So she does use that. So yeah, it's a neat thing. But anyway, she gets beaten up and also pulled out. I kind of like that she does respect the chain of command there, because you're expecting her to say, no. No, she respects it. He pulls her out and she's unhappy, to say the least.
Yes. Oh, and then we get a scene in Lorca's cabin. And here we get some Lorca character development. We get to see that he has this close relationship with this Admiral. And she's basically worried about his decisions as of late. Basically, that he's very powerful in his position, and he's using that, like he's hanging up on admirals and saying, well, just tell the Vulcans you're welcome and hang up. Like he's not listening to orders, so she's there to kind of check on him. Said that he's passed all his psych evals, and this is where she said, a week ago you were being tortured, now you're back in the captain's chair. How do you feel about that?
And he diverts the subject quite nicely to like very, very different.
Yes.
I'm kind of surprised she did do what she did. Like, there must be a hell of a history between them, like an on and off something.
Yeah. It was good. I love the character development for Lorca. And there's more of that to come, but we'll get there when we get there.
It's one of those scenes that you could pull out of Star Trek, and it's just a scene of people, has nothing, in it. But that's good. That's good. It's just a people scene,
Yeah, and these are the scenes that when I said at the beginning of this, where I think this Discovery has found its Star Trek legs. It's not all about the main story arc now. Now it's getting into the character development, and that's very much Star Trek. Learning about the characters and nice beats of action, and then a little bit of character development and action, not just all boom, a big epic in your face.
And it is worth just saying now, I've seen a couple of comments online, this season arc, these are very serialized episodes with a very small arc. At the present, we're only 6 in, bar the first 2. I mean, there's a sort of greater arc, but it really is episode on episode. It is serialized with an arc. It's very DS9, but even less so. It's very even Voyager has the arc of we're getting home, or we're fighting the Kazons, or we're fighting the Borg. I mean, this is still very serialized.
Yeah.
Especially this episode, which is why it's very meh to me, because it was a very standard Trek episode.
That's why I liked it.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's inside of a show that is specifically not that. It's specifically being pitched, specifically being this great epic, arc show with awesome characters and awesome development and awesome Klingons. It's like, but this is the most original, not original series, but most other show. But I just wish then that the canon was better and I like the characters more. If you're going to do it the original way, but like the Orville, build the characters better, build the character relations nicer. That works pretty much perfectly. And then this is, you've got me in certain expectations, and this was oddly done.
Well, that's why.
For that.
That's why I like the little character moments in this one, because it did show you a little piece of each character, and it's not like a Michael Bay no character development.
Oh no! I wish they'd done this from the start. I wish this had been more of that sort of season. Don't worry.
Yeah.
But I'm just anyway.
Okay.
But yeah, that Admiral, she's interesting casting. She's very. I think she was cast to specifically play off the actor of Lorca, because they have this very interesting spark. I can't put a finger on it because it's sort of all over the place, but in a good way.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have a history for sure, good and bad. So.
Yeah. And she puts down the comm badge, which we have seen in other Treks. That was a nice touch. And they next scene.
So here we see we see green Vulcan blood, which is nice.
Yeah.
It's kind of an odd color though. It's not really the Vulcan blood we're used to, but
it's in the Vulcan light of a Vulcan sun with red.
There
with
you
red
go.
sun.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's gonna feel different, isn't it?
Good call.
But yeah, so this is the scene where we get that private conversation, we get that piece, and yeah, he picks Spock. It was a damn good scene. It was nice to have that much TOS character cam. That was a very nicely handled scene, I felt.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right, motivated a lot better. But I do appreciate though that this guy, well, besides the mini racism, but they've always been a little bit. You know, I'll accept one of your not quite Vulcans.
Your experiments.
Okay, but you know, that's logically what you would say. Why would you dither around that? Just say what you mean. But he was willing to accept either. So obviously Sarek does have great tutelage. At least at this point in his timeline, he had genuinely got Burnham. I think he specifically said, "I've created in her a being of exquisite logic to rival the best of our species." Really? She's very flawed though by that.
Like most parents, he thinks he's done the best job he could, and his kid's better than everyone else's.
Yeah.
But then later, as you get older, you realize that you made a lot of mistakes as a parent. Trust me.
Yeah. But I appreciated the beats of this. It was nice.
He drives around in a hover car that says, my kid is an honor student. I guarantee you. Got a bumper sticker.
My adopted kid, top of her class. My half adopted kid, my half Vulcan son is still better than your Vulcan son.
And my other son is gonna be some kind of psycho religious freak in the future.
Oh yeah, we really should mention. Shouldn't he mention Cyborg here?
I thought I was waiting for some kind of reference to it, but no. Unless it comes after, because Cyborg I think is younger than Spock.
Yeah.
But then that means.
Okay, is Cyborg and Amanda? I thought because
Cyborg's a full Vulcan from another relationship.
Yeah, was that pre-Amanda? Because I can't imagine.
I think it's. I thought it was pre-Amanda, but I thought later that it's post-Amanda. But then he'd have to go.
But to be fair, he's got grey hair and Spock hasn't. So but that doesn't necessarily. I mean, it doesn't say anything specifically. But yeah,
maybe. Sarek doesn't even know about Cyborg at this point. Maybe the mother didn't tell him, and he finds out later that he had this other kid. It could be because
twist.
Yeah, he was at a party one night, and at the Pon
They got really close.
Pon Far extravaganza, and yeah.
Oh yeah, there you go. So he's 7 years younger than Spock. Wouldn't it have to be? So almost completely.
Anyway.
Yeah, they really should have mentioned Cyborg. That'd been a really nice reference.
Or just another son, just another.
Yeah. You did so well with your 2 experiments. Pity about your pure blood.
Your illegitimate son or your bastard son or something. Yeah.
Let's not speak about your full Vulcan offspring. And he's like, Dad, please don't.
Yeah. Anyway. So anyway, that rekindles. She mind melds with him. Actually, she asks, "Show me how you used your Katra to save me." And then it wasn't. It was like the refusing in Star Trek 3, the refusion. It wasn't really a mind meld. It was different placement of the hands. So putting the Katra and basically woke Saavik up from a distance, and he got to tap the button for the transponder, and awesome.
Yeah, I liked that Sarek took her through what had to be done, because she shouldn't know any of this. Yeah. She didn't even know she had the psychic link because she was surprised when she saw him. So that was a nice, she was just there to help him, which is the whole point of the scene. But that was nicely done. And then Lorca and the Admiral wake up. They have now slept together. Breach of professionalism a little bit, but
that's why she took her badge off, because they weren't professionals at that point. They were just friends.
No, you can tell he's a flawed captain. If she's the flawed Admiral that's letting the flawed captain do what he wants. So She's a flawed admiral.
She's not though, because she's there to stop him.
And yet she sleeps with them.
And the scars on his back. One is very interestingly shaped, almost like a delta.
Oh God, not.
They're branding their captains now. They brand everything else in this show.
You join your rank. You're part of the community. Blood brother with the admirals. Now, do you think that these are subcutaneous things that the Klingons put in his body, or they took something out, or is this a torture device? Is this something tortured? Is this something that happened to him earlier? Because she seems very surprised. She hasn't seen him naked for years, but she seemed very like, ooh, is this? Did the Klingons do this to him? Will this be a thing later on? Do you think?
I don't think they planted anything. Never thought that. I just assume it was from maybe when he was escaping the first ship that got destroyed. Some kind of damage there, like damaged him both mentally and physically. I don't know. It could even be from a week ago, from the torture from the Klingons, but
because I kind of get the impression that maybe, because you're right, that's a very specific scar, that maybe because he was in that chair, he's doing very simple torture. But you can imagine if they know he's part of this ship, why wouldn't you try and turn him? We know that is a thing that happens in certain things. I'm almost picturing that they stabbed this almost triangular device into his back, would give him some drug treatment or feeding him something. Like he's now like Joy the Forge a little bit. There's something else to him maybe, which I wasn't getting from last episode, how he escaped sort of so easily. But
maybe that's why he got rid of the Tribble. Maybe he now is the Klingon agent. Don't know.
Ooh. I mean, she did say she was very different, and yeah, she strokes one of it, and he instantly chokes her out, points a gun at her head. Woo.
And not only that, but the phaser was set to kill. It wasn't set to stun; it was set to kill. That's a little excessive. Went for under your pillow. Wow. On your own ship. Set to stun is okay. Maybe if you get boarded, you can.
If you kill the intruder, you won't learn nothing. Yeah. By the way they were playing this scene and the full power in his face, I got the impression that this is probably who he was before the Klingon torture, but she didn't know. But I think when they're playing it, that he's been turned into this recently. And which take do you think on this?
I think this was there before the Klingon torture. I think this happened at the initial incident where he lost his crew, and that's what really changed his character to be more of a go-getter kind of. He's kind of asshole-ish and standoff, so he doesn't get close to his crew, I think, because he might have been very close with his last crew, and he had to see them all die. So I think that's part of his character development, that's why he keeps them at a distance, kind of being an asshole. That's my vibe, anyway.
No, that's interesting, yeah. But I think she's probably right. He probably is cracking a little bit. The depths of that. And
she says right here, you're not the man you used to be. I'm going to make sure you lose command of this ship, essentially. And that's later when she's boarding the shuttle. She's like, we don't want to see you disgraced or whatever. We'll talk once I get back. We'll talk about how you're going to step down.
Yes.
And then get you rehabilitation to get back into that chair. So he's basically lost the ship as soon as she tells anybody or gives anybody her report, which opens up something interesting.
But we're there in a minute.
Yes, I know. I'm excited to talk about it, though.
Yeah. So he lied about the psychovals, and it's a pathological liar she's accusing him. Now, we'll just say one thing before we enter what that really means. This scene I felt was kind of strange. She throws so much dialogue in his face, rushedly, when she puts her jacket on. That was a really badly acted scene, I feel, that she was just... Like, she had these lines in her brain that she had to say. She threw them at him, didn't know how to act the scene properly, and then sort of left. Like, it was a very, very oddly acted scene, very unrealistic.
I disagree. I thought it was very realistic. She was very angry at this point.
Yes. Yeah. But the thing is, was she playing him too? Because if she came there to try out... I mean, sleeping with him is also a way of getting him to open up. I mean, they're playing each other.
Yeah. She's definitely playing him because she knows him because...
Well,
she was there to basically be a meter stick to see where he's at. Yeah. And I don't know if she was sent officially or if she thought she'd do it on her own because of the weird...
Well, she's out there to rescue Sarek, we know that.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, I think she was very angry because she said even when we basically made love just now, that wasn't the same. You've changed.
Yep. And I can't leave Starfleet's most powerful ship in the hands of a broken man.
Yep. Yeah, I have that written down too.
And he says, "Don't take the ship away from me. It's all I have."
Yeah, he starts begging. Yeah.
and I've got a face here in the notes. That was really powerful because I feel like that was the true him.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the only time I might see him. He is, if he hasn't got this, 2 ships lost. One from possibly incompetence. One from, well, result of his incompetence from the last crew. You know, just him being destroyed by it.
Well, most people that have that strong outer facade are very emotionally weak inside.
Charged.
And, and very few people actually ever see that.
Yeah.
So I thought that was very telling, that he's like basically asking his friend, "No, please don't take this ship away from
pleading, begging." But do you think that was real, or he was actually playing her again? Because she doesn't know which way.
It's hard to say. I think it was real.
Yeah.
I think he realized at that point that he had made a huge mistake, and because the ship is the only thing, his ship is, and being in the position he's in is what keeps him going.
Yeah.
And to take that away from him, he would be nobody.
Yeah.
And so, I think that was very genuine.
I think he probably knows what he needs to say, but didn't want to say it because he thought he'd get away without saying it. So what she said is forcing him to reveal his inner self. It's still a game, but he's having to reveal what he really thinks, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, it's the chess piece of, I still want the end win of winning the war. I have to admit what's happening, you know.
Yeah.
But that was a good little moment.
Yeah. And she also said that she wasn't blinded by his victories like the other captains or the other admirals. Or the other admirals don't see the change there. So.
Well, yeah, a character on paper is different to a character in front of you and a character that you've known for decades.
Yeah.
And to see somebody, if you know where they started and you see where they are now, if you see a line of getting darker and darker and more willing to do whatever, is it really worth letting that line continue to the end point where you might sacrifice another crew and the ship to, you know, suicide bomb, because they like suicide bombs, another Klingon ship? You know, you can see the path he's on. It's clearly the wrong path certainly for a Starfleet captain. I mean, as we said, he's not a good Starfleet captain, but he might be the one we need to win the war, you know?
Yeah. He's not the captain we want. He's the captain we need. Because he's Batman. Sorry.
He's Malfoy.
Then the next scene, Sarek is back. He is in sickbay, and they have him and Michael Burnham have a little. Well, Lorca and him have a little head-to-head talk outside. He basically offers her a science specialist slot on the bridge crew.
Yes.
Which I'm sure is going to really impress Saru. That used to be Saru's spot on the Shinzao. So
he's still second officer though.
First
wouldn't
officer.
it? Yeah, sorry. Wouldn't it really pee him off if he was like, you know what, you're not Burnham, you're second in command. And he's like, again. Yeah, the threat gang will be just constantly on at that point. And I found it interesting. She said, "I'm grateful to serve under a captain like you."
I think that goes back to the discussion earlier where Tilly's like, you know, he did pick you. Because I think that opened her eyes. She goes, you know, you're right. I've never really looked at it from that point of view, but considering the view that everybody has of me, that was pretty ballsy of him to give me a second chance, because I know I'm a good person. I know I'm a good person, but no one else does. And I think she didn't realize that till she was told that little nugget, and so that's why I think she said that here. She's starting to see him as more of a good guy, and I think we're starting now to see him more of as a bad guy as the audience.
Well, that's the dichotomy, because we know he's a broken captain, and we've seen the bad things he's done, so the bad tactical maneuver he's done as well. So is she also not just seeing, I'm grateful to serve under a captain that will do, because I mean, he put the entire crew and the ship and the Federation at risk. I mean, it wasn't that much risk, but to save Sarek for her, to gain her loyalty. It was a power play, you know?
Yeah.
You know, he's a broken. I mean, I'm wondering, is she also seeing the ends just what I mean? Is she so wanting to fix her galactic mistake that she will now do whatever's needed, and he sees that in him as well?
Or she sees that he's a broken captain, and she can use that to her advantage to get into a position where she's back in command. Because she, I don't know, I don't trust her character. I don't like her character. I think she's looking for any kind of any kind of little weak spot that she can use as a chink in the armor to get, you know, back in. I think she's very selfish. That's what I think.
She's a weird one.
Yes.
And it's weird she's being in a bridge officer position, because she's not the best there. Anyway, so then Sarek, they have this great heart-to-heart.
Yeah. Technically, we're not related. whatever. I'll talk to you about this later, Dad. Is basically how that conversation went.
And yeah, great scene, really harsh, and yeah, that's a great summation.
Yeah.
Well, what a low blow, dude. I mean,
well, yeah.
You could lecture me, but technically we're not related. Yeah, Dad.
Yeah. Then the next scene, of course, is where she says, we'll talk about you stepping down and get you the help you need to get back in the captain's chair. So he knows that once she talks to somebody, it's pretty much over.
And let's just jump through the next 3 scenes because there's more that we can talk about this consequences in a second. Let's just jump to the end. So yeah, has a conversation with Tilly. She has learned her mistake that she doesn't want to be the Sarek to the Tilly, and so do it your own way.
Yeah, she's like, find your own way to the captain's chair, and Tilly's like, I have, and she runs. Yeah, which is awesome.
Nice.
Yeah,
has this conversation with Ash Tyler. Yep, fine. I mean, I don't get the chemistry between them as a love interest. I don't see that, nor do I want that to happen.
I don't think that's going to happen. I hope it doesn't.
Well, there's been reports, but
there's been things that Tyler has said in this episode are very telling, and the one thing he says is, "Well, that's what being human is all about." It's like his last line. It's like,
yeah,
really.
It's weird, isn't it?
It is. Because and at one scene at the table there, he had some of his mannerisms and the way he moved looked very much like the albino Klingon Vok. Just saying. Don't know if that's the case, but
if this is Vok, he's a damn good actor. I'm just saying, he plays a convincing human.
Yes. Anyway, next.
So then we get to Cancri 5. No, it was before, wasn't it? Neutral territory. And interesting, we now get a scale for the bird of prey. Because they're there. And it has got the ramp. Like the Star Trek 6 bird of prey, which is a nice little canon reference. And then you can see very clearly the stretched nacelle, roughly how big. So it's about 2 decks to 3 decks tall than the thing. Very small ship. Basically on par with what it should be. Although the shuttle's bigger than a normal shuttle. So it's but it's fun to see the sort of scale that we're being given here. And quite a cool shot. I'm glad they sort of threw this in.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't even notice the bird of prey you're just talking about now, but yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. I noticed on the first run through, but this one stills are quite important. But I love the fact it's got those ramps as well.
Nice. And I gotta say this next scene I saw coming a mile away. I'm like, they're gonna get all killed. That was wrong. Only 2 of them got killed.
And 3 randoms, yeah. But I was again, as I have felt every time. I thought, okay, Discovery, this is your time to make up for mistakes. Let's see a Klingon with hair. Let's see a classic Klingon because there are 2 other houses. Let's have them be other houses. Nope. Okay.
All right. Next. Yeah. So then, basically, what's his face comes in and says, "Looking forward to meeting you. We have a much more valuable hostage now than just the."
Well, they betray them. You didn't say the big part. They betray them.
That's what I said. They killed 2 of them.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but the Klingons betrays everyone like they want to, and they kill the neutral people, and a telegraph betrayal with the dude that has a serious skin condition and a lady that has some fashion sense.
Anyway, and then he's like, I'm very much looking forward to meeting you in person, not in holographic form. But so she's now a captive or a hostage, which works out better for them.
Yep, and then one most interesting couple of lines in the entire episode. You shall be welcomed in my new united Klingon Empire, and will receive your ability to cloak your ships as a result.
Now cloaking devices are being handed out as rewards to the houses.
Does this mean that the Klingons gave the Romulans cloaks? Are we going to start retconning that? I mean...
Well, we still don't know whether he got his cloak from Takuvama, so...
I mean, it must be Romulans or Suliban. There's only a couple, or Zerillians, because they have cloaks. That was... you can't give every ship a cloak, otherwise it's not impressive, because then TOS ships would see them, and you're not surprised.
Well, I'm not saying every ship. I think he's just meaning, like, your house will now have the ability to cloak some ships. We'll give you the cloaking technology. You can start building your own cloaking devices.
But then everyone has the plans for them, so they should. You can't destroy information once it puts out on the internet. It's there. It's so difficult to get rid of. You put the plans out for a cloak. Every Klingon that's worth a damn will be having a Klingon USB drive or a K drive, and saving the plans just in case to be a renegade. I was really disappointed by that, because it should be Takuvma, they don't know how it works. That's a secret.
Yeah.
Every ship can cloak. It's like, you really, again, just... please don't stop with that.
Anyway, cloaking. Now, the last scene of this episode was the one that was most powerful for me, because it really got me thinking about a lot of stuff. Saru comes in and says, this is what happened. She's been taken hostage.
Let's go.
We're just going to go jump in and get her, right? Because that's the kind of captain you are. And Lorca's like,
man of
well,
action.
you know what? But, okay, I'm conflicted here. Is he doing this because he realized that he has...
What does he say first, Joe? What does he say? He says...
I don't have the quote written down. He just says
basically...
basically...
He says, wait for Starfleet. Yeah, we'll see what the bosses say.
Yeah, exactly. So is he doing that because he was been slapped down by her and realized that he was going to lose his captaincy because of it? So maybe he should start acting more on the level? Or is it because he doesn't want to lose his command and doesn't want her to survive or be rescued? Because if word gets out from her, what she found out about him, then he's losing his captaincy. And I can see it being both of those things, each independent. It could be that he's being very selfish. He doesn't care about the fact that she could die, but he gets to keep his command. Or he has learned his lesson, realized that he basically did lose his command, just not officially. And he needs to turn it around so that when she does get rescued, the other admirals will say, well, he wasn't being rash. He didn't jump in and try to save you. So, he is learning from his mistakes, perhaps. Maybe we can trust him. Although that would piss her off very much.
Yeah, if those mistakes cost her losing an eye, losing an arm, being stabbed 10,000 times, she's not going to say, at least you followed the rules. It doesn't, saving her is, then he might be able to call a favour and say, please don't fire me, I just saved your life. Although he did send her on that mission too. It was his idea. So,
which means, was you thinking that all along, that this could be a trap? Maybe she'll die and not have to worry about it?
Honestly, I thought it was a win-win for him, because if she goes, it's a peace treaty, then they can use that either to advantage to have some time to build more discoveries and then restart the war if he's that war-minded, or the war's over, that's one of our objectives, or the other way, if she dies, because the Klingons both do and don't take prisoners, but they do kill a lot of people either way. So, there's more than a 50% chance these aren't genuine peace offers. More than it's not 50-50.
Well, yeah. Well, Takuvma himself even said, we're waiting for somebody worthy of our attention. Let's have a ceasefire, and then all of a sudden
kills the whole crew. Yeah. So the likelihood is that that's nonsense. And so you kill her, who is never going to love you again. Maybe that. Like, the way they ended it was really not obviously the last thing they're together, but the way they emotionally ended it was kind of like, yeah, you've changed too much.
Yeah.
If it's the same day, you can see him being like, he's got an excuse now,
Yeah.
to not go. I think he doesn't want her dead, but he's using the situation because he knows it's very good. If he gets removed from captaincy, the ship might not be able to win the war. So sacrificing his admiral friend, and again we know that Mud stayed alive for days, weeks, months. So she could stay a prisoner for days and weeks, enough time to win the war, maybe. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's very interesting character development here. Like, is he being very selfish, or is he actually realizing that he is being way too rash, and he needs to actually follow the chain of command? I don't know. I think it's a little bit of both, but. Interestingly enough, he was armed when Saru came to his quarters. He had the phaser tucked in his back, which makes me think that he was assuming that she might have said something to Saru or one of the admirals, and somebody would come to relieve him of command. And he's got a phaser ready to go in that case, which is very Mirror Universe-ish of him. And the scene ends with him staring out the window with a mirror reflection. Again, another mirror reflection at the end of the episode.
Yeah, I didn't get that from it, but when I said it, absolutely. And he left his entire crew to die last time, so you can see, just like Riker, they lied about for the Pegasus, they lied about that for decades. Shoot the two guards, run off the ship. Hey, I've escaped. Oh no, the whole ship blew up. The spore drive malfunctioned. Can I get a third ship? Yes, Lorca. Here you go. Hey.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. Yeah. So there you go, guys. Episode 6, the most Trek episode.
I would say,
maybe. Although I still like episode 3 with that sciencey stuff we got. So yeah, your closing thoughts then, Stuart, and I guess final number. Out of 10.
Well, I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10 for sure. Like I said, this was the most Star Trek feeling episode for me because it did involve a lot of character development, but not overly long, exaggerated, boring character development arcs.
The pace was pretty good,
Yeah.
considering.
Yeah, just nice little snippets, and the pacing was awesome. The storyline was awesome. We learned a lot about specific characters, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of Lieutenant Ash Taylor. I hope he's a good guy. I really like him. I want to like him very much. Just the things seem odd about him, the things that people are saying about him, and the things he himself is saying seem off. So I'm looking forward to learning more about that. But overall, as a whole piece, I think this, as I said right at the beginning, Star Trek, I think Discovery's found its Star Trek legs, starting to stand, starting to wobble on them a little bit. And as we know with other Star Trek series, sometimes it takes till season 3 to really hit its stride. But it is starting to at least move on its Star Trek legs, and I think that's promising. I'm looking forward to more. So, awesome episode.
So it might have found its identity more now by returning to a more classical format alongside of its current format, is what you're kind of saying.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you've taught me to appreciate this episode a bit more, thanks to the whole Sarek bonus, like the way that all interconnect. With I didn't see it in that way as you explained it, so I was probably going to give it like a 6.5, probably I'll give it a 7. Maybe 7.5. I think 7, just because it didn't blow me away specifically. But there wasn't any humongous plot holes, which was great. Although a few canonical things, I'm like, holodeck, and
it did release a lot of little strings that I think are going to play into future episodes and tie in.
Well, that's the thing. We got to wait for the whole season to finish. Like the cloaking devices obviously play a huge part, and they'll also be like looks like the spore drive be rendered, non-usable at the end. So obviously these things will come to a conclusion. But if they couldn't explain. I think we might complain if they'd explain, that was a great time in our hologrammatical training simulation test bay. The boys were working this for over 6 months.
It's just a shooting gallery. That's all it is.
You know what I mean? To have that exposition, it wasn't needed, but I kind of wish it had.
Yeah.
Because that's the one ship I would have bought it as being the experimental one, because 300 science things, that's the test room. A science guy was on the other side, and the captain said, that is a great version 12. But working it, they weren't smart enough. Like that was the very first test holodeck. Because you can imagine, in terms of like we saw with the Enterprise, the tactic to get Degra to give information was the subterfuge, which was an incredible episode.
Yes.
Imagine if you can get holographic technology working, you get Colonel Prisoner, get on board your ship, put him in this environment that seems like his home. That could be a great spy technique.
Absolutely.
So I can see the direct usage of that technology. Kind of wish they'd explain that, but I think we'll do a full episode about that, explaining why and how that could make sense. But yeah, I liked it. Sarek stuff was better now on reflection. Lorca was interesting, but again, not the show I would have wanted, but it's interesting. I'm kind of surprised the way they did Stamets, but we'll see. But next episode, wow, that'll be Star Trek. Yeah. How about that one? There you go.
Well, there you go, guys. What are your thoughts? What are your comments? Put them below. We love reading them and hearing all your suggestions, ideas, theories, conspiracies. Want to hear them all. So if you like the video, click the like button. Don't forget to share it around, and definitely subscribe so you can join us on a regular basis to talk more Star Trek and other great things.
And if you want to support us directly, like a lot of those great fans that do on Patreon, we're getting a lot of great Patreon support right now. Support not just this show, these reviews, our normal shows, but also this channel as a whole. We have lots of shows we're trying to pilot, work out, guests to bring in, all this stuff that needs time. Time is simply money to pay for the bills, pay for the lights to stay on. Yes, you're at the R4 lights, that same joke. You've said it a million times. Support us on Patreon, a monthly donation scheme, or a one-time donation at Trekyards.com. Go a little bit. Every once in a while really does help keep the show going and keeps the fires burning to produce more and even more awesome stuff.
That's right. So until next time, guys, I'm Captain Foley.
And I am Commander Coggins.
Bye, everybody.